Support for this podcast comes from the Central Valley Journalism Collaborative, connecting communities with the resources, infrastructure, and networks to ensure a vibrant local free press.
From KVPR in Fresno, this is Central Valley Daily. It's Wednesday, February 18th. I'm Elizabeth Arkalian. Two elected officials are eyeing a Valley congressional seat that has eluded their party for years.
The Democratic strategists who I've talked to about this race agree that this is probably the hardest district they have in California to win.
Coming up, we discuss the Democrats trying to unseat incumbent Republican Congressman David Valadao. But first, these headlines. The CEO of the California High-Speed Rail Authority was arrested earlier this month on suspicion of domestic battery. The Sacramento Bee reports Ian Chowdhury was arrested on February 4th at his home in Folsom, near Sacramento. Earlier in the day, he'd been in Kern County promoting the high-speed rail with Governor Gavin Newsom. Local police confirmed the arrest, but no charges have been brought against Chowdhury. In a statement, officials with the High-Speed Rail Authority said they are reviewing the matter. Fresno County leaders are trying to put a sales tax measure on the November ballot to fund transportation projects. They gathered on Tuesday to announce the plan, which competes with another tax proposal announced by community groups last month. KVPR's Samantha Rangel has more.
The initiative is called, quote, Fix Our Roads, Fresno County. It's meant to save a tax measure known as Measure C, which expires next year. Supporters say the tax plan would dedicate 82% of funding to repair and maintain local streets and highways, with the remaining funds going to public transit. Clovis Mayor Pro Tem Diane Pierce says the measure would meet resident needs.
There's a fantastic part of this that champions local control and allows incredible flexibility for each jurisdiction to meet its unique needs.
This plan competes with another proposal announced in January. That one would dedicate more money to public transit projects. Both tax plans are getting the needed signatures to land on the November ballot. With KVPR News, I'm Samantha Rangel.
The Catholic Bishop of the Diocese of Fresno held Mass on Monday at an immigrant detention center in Kern County. Joseph Brennan spoke with news outlets about the visit to the immigration center in California City. He said it was meant to bring communion and companionship to those who are far from their families.
I think we all need to have a sense that, someone has our back, or that someone even cares about us, that someone is thinking about us, or that someone is there with us.
The visit comes as Catholics prepare to enter a period of praying and fasting for the Lent season, which starts today. Registered nurses across the country are planning coordinated protests this week to speak out on immigration enforcement. The demonstrations are aimed at addressing issues with U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement and Border Patrol. The effort by National Nurses United is calling federal immigration enforcement one of the, quote, country's top public health threats. Protests are scheduled for Thursday. Valley Children's Hospital has received $2 million from the James G. Boswell Foundation. The money was given to the so-called Children's Fund, which pays for a range of services and programs at the hospital. The Boswell Foundation has contributed $5 million to Valley Children's in total in the past 3 years.
Support for Central Valley Daily comes from the members of KVPR. Join at $8 or more per month and access ad-free NPR podcasts through NPR Plus. Give now at kvpr.org/donate.
And now to our main story. Congressman Valadao is up for re-election this year, and he has a handful of Democratic contenders hoping to flip his district. And they just might be able to do it thanks to Proposition 50. That's the redistricting effort that voters recently passed. It makes congressional districts in California more favorable to Democrats. And today, we're discussing two candidates vying to replace Valadao: Jasmeet Bains and Randy Villegas. Despite both being Democrats, they're offering two unique visions, a sign the Democratic Party is at a crossroads as it seeks to reassert its dominance in the Valley. To break down the future of California's newly shaped 22nd District, today I'm speaking with Maya C. Miller. She's a politics reporter for our news partner, CalMatters. Maya kicks off our conversation.
There are two main candidates who are looking for the opportunity to take on incumbent Republican Congressman David Valadao. The first to announce of these two candidates is a guy by the name of Randy Villegas. He was born and raised in Bakersfield. Now he teaches political science at the College of Sequoias in Visalia. He's also a school board trustee for the Visalia Public School District, and he co-owns an auto repair shop with his father. He's leaned into this identity as a son of the Valley, as someone who has grown up the son of Mexican immigrants, who is really a Valley guy at heart and, knows what it's like to grow up in the area and see the struggles of growing up in the Valley firsthand. And then our second candidate in this district on the Democratic side is current Assembly member Jasmeet Bains. She is a physician, currently is still active in her practice, sees patients, primarily Medicaid, Medi-Cal patients, on the weekends when she is home from Sacramento. She lives in Bakersfield and practices in Bakersfield, is from Delano, but she too is really leaning into this story of being raised in the Valley and knowing what it's like to grow up there, to live there, to be a member of the community, and to be in touch with neighbors and family members. And she is also the first Sikh American lawmaker to be elected to state office in California. And that is something that she is very proud of. And she has coalesced a lot of support within the Sikh and South Asian community in the Valley.
Circling back to Randy Villegas for a moment, as you mentioned, he's a political newcomer. He has not held public office outside of this school board trustee position. Did he say what sparked his interest in pursuing politics?
Yeah, I think that he has been really just disappointed with the level of representation that his community in the Valley has received at the federal level from Congressman Valadao. He has said that he wants to bring in a new energy, a new generation of leadership. I believe he's only 30, 31, early 30s. And he's really leaning into this progressive populist, economic populist messaging that you hear from candidates such as Senator Bernie Sanders from Vermont, or Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez from New York, or Mayor Zohran Mamdani from New York. These candidates who are really trying to feed off the energy that working class and particularly younger voters are hungry for. And this is addressing issues of affordability, particularly when it comes to housing and healthcare, and just the overall economic outlook for folks these days. So
Yeah.
I think that those are the combination of factors that pushed him to want to challenge Representative Valadao.
Okay, let's talk about his opponent, Jasmeet Bains. She's currently serving in the state assembly. What's prompting her desire to move up the political ladder?
Well, she also is using this message of, I'm not a career politician. I'm not a political insider. I'm a doctor. I
Mm-hmm.
come from the world of getting to know my community through serving them as their doctor, by getting to know them as my patients. And even though she is currently a state lawmaker, she's really trying to juxtapose herself with Congressman Valadao, in that the congressman cast what would ultimately be the deciding vote on the Republican mega bill that, among other things, would cut, I believe it's about $1 trillion from Medicaid and other social welfare programs over the next 10 years. And she says that that really was the catalyst for her to jump into this race, to want to do more, to want to hold this representative accountable for what she says is really poor representation of the district that she has spent her life serving as a doctor and now as a state assembly member.
Okay, one other person in this race we have not spoken about yet is the incumbent Representative David Valadao. So for listeners who did not catch our recent episode with you, we dug into his political prospects now that Prop 50 has changed his district. So where do things stand for David Valadao at the moment?
You know, David Valadao is something of a political abnormality. And I say that with the knowledge that he has been representing this district or, this area for most of the last 12 years, 12 going on 13 years. And the only time that he has lost election out of the 7 times he's been on the ballot was once in 2018 as part of a big blue wave in the first midterm election after Donald Trump was first elected president in 2016. So, and this district is, on paper, appears to have a Democratic tilt to it. There are more registered Democrats in this district than there are registered Republicans. There's a good chunk of no party affiliated voters as well. And so, on paper, you might think that Representative Valadao is a pretty good target for Democrats to try to flip this seat. And that's what they've been trying to do, cycle after cycle after cycle. And still, here he is holding on to that seat. So he is in pretty good shape financially in terms of campaign finance. He's got a war chest that is bigger than either of his 2 opponents. And he has largely tried to stay out of the media narrative, really control his media persona, let's say, by declining interviews and really trying to come to the press on his own terms. So I would not count him out of this race by any means. And I think that even the Democratic strategists who I've talked to about this race agree that this is probably the hardest district they have in California to win.
Maya C. Miller, CalMatters political reporter. So nice to have you back on the show. Thank you for chatting with us today.
Thanks so much for having me. It's a pleasure.
And California's primary election day is on June 2nd, so expect mail-in voting and polling places to open in the days leading up to then. And if you have not yet listened to our February 4th episode, I encourage you to. Maya and I discuss Valadao's plans to save his seat in the upcoming election. It's a great companion piece to our conversation today. And while you're tapping around your podcast app, please consider giving Central Valley Daily a rating or a review. It helps spread the word, and we really appreciate the support. And that is today's show. Today's episode was produced by Jonathan Linden and KVPR with support from the Central Valley Journalism Collaborative. I'm Elizabeth Arkalian. Find the latest local news anytime at kvpr.org.
This is Tanya Mosley, co-host of Fresh Air. You'll see your favorite actors, directors, and comedians on late-night TV shows or YouTube. But what you get with Fresh Air is a deep dive. Spend some quality time with people like Billie Eilish, Questlove, Ariana Grande, Stephen Colbert, and so many more. We ask questions you won't hear asked anywhere else. Listen to the Fresh Air podcast from NPR and WHYY.